Hello, this is Winston Cunningham. It is May 19th, 2025. What I want to talk about today is the idea of feeding it or letting it die. You feed the things you want to stay alive, and you let die the things that you no longer need. This many times represents what is gone in the past, and of course you can't do anything about what's gone in the past. Food being knowledge, the phrase of feeding it is talking about giving attention to it. Because something, whatever is going on with you, whether it's good, bad, or ugly, it has to be fed by your attention to stay alive. You'll hear people all the time going over the woe is me, same thing today as yesterday and the day before, and it just going over and over what has been, and rather than just letting it wither away and die, they keep it alive. At the YMCA every day, I witness a group of older people. Many of them are younger than I am, but in their mind they're older. They go over and over their old war stories and their military days and their diseases, which they describe with a sense of pride. So they're keeping these things alive rather than letting them go as a past thing that no longer applies. But if you keep it alive by giving it attention, then yes, it is, you make it relevant to today. So I encourage people to think about what they want rather than what they don't want. Because feed what you want to happen, feed what you want to be, and let die the things that are no longer important, no longer relevant, the things that don't matter anymore, but you keep going over and over the same thing. And this going over the same thing is a waste of energy, and the person doing this will be getting tired without understanding why. And I'm telling you why. Nothing can stay alive on its own. It has to be fed. Because situations, circumstances, things are only there for us to learn from and with. Because the real you, when you withdraw from this physical body, you don't take all this stuff with you. So what are you doing to yourself by keeping those things alive? I saw a cartoon where a guy was standing with his son, and they had the garage door open and the stuff had just packed and just junky. And he was telling his son, you know, some days this will all be yours. And that's the way most things are passed on. Because physical things are just that, physical things. And physical things are important for us to use as a part of the experience for learning. But when it has served its purpose, it no longer needs to be kept. So as you put your attention on what you want, let go, release the things that no longer matter and let them wither away. Keep alive what you want to see in your life. Keep alive what you want to see. And with my experience, I know what I want to see. From experience, I know that I will see it once I'm in the activity that produces it. Because wishful thinking is just that, wishful thinking. And if something happens seemingly by accident, you don't know how it happened, and so you can't repeat it. But when you understand how you create something, then you can repeat that. So why would you want to keep putting attention on something that has fallen by the wayside and is no longer producing for you, but you're keeping it alive, still singing, woe is me? I was talking to a couple not long ago that got more ailments than you can count. And their whole life is built around what's happening next to them. And neither one of them had a clue that they were the ones that were creating everything. We're all creators. We inherited this talent and capability of being creators. We have to learn how to use it, but it's ours. And for the most part, this is changing a little bit, but still the majority is thinking that someone else somewhere else is in control of them. So if somebody else somewhere else is in control of them, why should they put out any effort in any direction? So their life is put upon them rather than being something they created. But once you realize that something has to be fed to stay alive, then you will let go of the fruit that withers on the vine, like Jesus and the fig tree. Let go of what no longer produces and replace that with things that do produce. And you do that by keeping your attention on what you want and seeing how it's only when you step toward what you want that you begin to see how to get there with it. As long as you're standing still and want to see how it works before you do it, it's going to take a couple of days. It just, you're in control. And the steps of change are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and finally acceptance. But when you think that someone else somewhere else is creating your life, then you are firmly in denial. Denial. You're denying what can be and still attached to what has been. So, by choice, you are a has-been. That's your choice of the way you see what you have. And the laws of the universe apply to everyone equally. It may seem equal because what is unequal is the amount of understanding of how things work. because too many people are still in denial, and a part of that denial is putting it off on someone else. Early on, when I was experiencing the early part of life through basically the Baptist religion, I began to see when I was sitting in church and I kept hearing these things that seemed to be saying that God does these things for you, the devil does these things to you. So my next question is, well, what does that make me? You need to answer that question. I answered it for myself, and as a result, I rose above religion and politics because the truth is what matters, and that's all I wanted. And that led me to the School of Metaphysics that showed me how to see truth and how to witness truth, how to be truth, and how to find the truth in any situation, circumstance. Because as Jesus, the knowing quality within each of us, says that the truth will set you free. And you can imagine, if that's true, then what does it make everything else irrelevant? And so I grew up in a religion that was telling me I was irrelevant. That's the message I got. But that's not what Jesus said. That was the way they heard what he said, or heard a very small portion of what he said. The truth will set you free, and I found a lot of freedom by embracing the truth. The truth is, I'm 81 years old and I'm not old. Now, how many people 81 years old do you know that understand that? Or how many of them are still feeding the lies that they were fed all of their life and saying you're supposed to get old? Now, go back and listen to my talk on this page. We're Valuable Media. Getting old is a choice. See, I'm feeding what I want to stay alive, and I'm letting go and let it wither away those things that do not serve me. When the bush no longer produces the fruit, it's of no use. Oh, it still manufactures some carbon dioxide and so forth, or the scientific thing. The plants have a use, but the fruiting plants, a plant that is designed to produce fruit and is producing no fruit, is not fulfilling its purpose. And I am just now reaching the place to where I am fulfilling my purpose for this lifetime. I am in the process of doing that as we speak. And doing these talks is a part of it. And what I talk about sounds so strange to someone who's still trapped in religion. But I've risen above that, and anyone can. But as long as they're in denial, you're feeding the thing that needs to wither away and die. I think I've made the point that I want to. You feed what you want to stay alive, and you let die, which means change, the things that are no longer serving you well. And everything is put here for our use. That's different than misuse. I'm Winston Cunningham. Think about it.